Bioinformatics is a field of computer science that develops software tools to manage, analyze, and interpret mass amounts of biological data. These softwares not only make it easier to access data, but also strive user-friendly, allowing users to visualize and understand the complex information that they are seeing.
The necessity of computers became essential to biology after the first sequencing of insulin by Frederick Sanger in 1951. Margaret Dayhoff later became the first to ever use computers to compare protein sequences. Bioinformatics has come a long way since its first use of computing in biology.
Bioinformatics is a field that's used in many parts of biology, including molecular biology, genomics, neuroscience, even pharmacology. The data managed and processed in bioinformatics is used to make medicines that save lives daily and will even help push to cure cancer. One of the biggest fields bioinformatics is a part of is the field of genomics, which is the ordering and analyzation of the functions and physical structures of the entire human genome.
In genomics, bioinformation scientists can compute mass amounts of data in the form of single nucleotides, almost like zeros and ones on our computers. They use these to understand how diseases form, how certain mutations happen, how to genetically modify plants to agriculture, study entire human populations to see how we all physically differ, and even law enforcement to catch criminals using DNA.
To do this, bioinformaticians must create simple and efficient programs to analyze the structure of DNA, starting all the way at the individual base pairs. They use this to map out and understand entire human diseases. In order to be cost effective, the programs must be extremely efficient and extremely accurate, because after all, they're coding for the human code.
The challenge with big data is the handling of the amount of big data that comes through the field. Over the past decade, the cost to access and sequence the data from the DNA itself has fallen drastically. In 2006, it would cost about $14 million to create human genome sequence, and in 2016, it will cost $1,500. This fall in price is even faster than the growth of the processing power that Moore's Law outlines, which is the same processing power that handling this data requires.
This drastic change in the speed and cost of sequencing DNA has given the field growing pains. Because of the cheapness of generating this data, scientists have hit the problem of having too much data, but not enough ways to interpret and understand it.
With this much data, just storage itself is a huge expense. BGI, one of the largest bioinformatic companies in the world, produces 300 terabytes of data per month. The average full HD movie you watch is roughly 5 gigabytes. In 3 months, BGI creates almost 200,000 movies worth of data, which is 1 petabyte. In just 10 years, it's expected that 40 exabytes, or 8 billion movies worth of data, would be needed to store all of the human genome collected. Storing this much data is extremely expensive. BGI budgets $9 million per year just for their computer systems, but another problem with this much data is being able to share it and distribute it around the world to be studied. Some large sequencing companies are trying to push cloud computing and cloud storage so the results and stored data can be remotely accessed, but still find many issues with bandwidth.
More programs are needed to take the data that has accumulated and go through it and analyze it rather than produce it. A good analogy would be like computers. We have the ones and zeros of the program of the human biology, except in the form of A's, T's, C's, and G's. It's like we almost need a reverse compiler to turn that low-level language into a higher level that we can understand and use.
To properly foster progress in bioinformatics in all fields it has an impact on, 3 major fixes need to be made. There needs to be funding and support for large projects to develop large programs that simplify and interpret biodata. There also needs to be training for all tools that are made in the field so that scientists can easily use them and not be held back by their own resources. And last but not least, with the mass quantities of data that the field handles, there needs to be a fast and inexpensive way to transfer data between labs, because even now, in some cases, it's cheaper to transfer data by shipping hard drives around the world. So here are 2 major solutions.
BD2K, or Big Data In Knowledge, is an initiative created by the National Institute of Health to strive to break the barriers of the lack of tools and training in the field of bioinformatics. They do this through funding the creation of tools, conducting training on the use of tools, and making data more accessible. This basically tackles all 3 of the major problems in bioinformatics.
Open source projects in bioinformatics allow more scientists to access and understand the vast amounts of data that will otherwise only be accessible to those working under expensive projects. Open source programs also allow more free and universal transfer of data produced by programs, which allows the field to become more cost efficient, which allows it to be more productive.
Almost 40% of all people could develop some form of cancer in their lifetime. That's almost half the people you know that could develop cancer. Bioinformatics plays a huge part in the effort to cure cancer by mapping out and helping create preventive measures and specialized medicine based on the patient's own genes. Bioinformatics heavily influences the discovery and treatment of many genetic and even non-genetic diseases. But in order to continue to do this and advance further, it needs people in the field to help create efficient and powerful softwares that will break down these diseases and help treat them. Bioinformatics needs talented and hardworking computer scientists like you.